I'd like to start today's podcast with a story from my childhood. When I was a younger boy, my siblings and I liked to build paper airplanes and see who could throw a paper airplane straight up in the air and have it stay in the air the longest. Being the little scientist that I was growing up, I wanted to test as many airplane designs as possible. I found books on different paper airplanes and I rented them from the library, photocopied the instructions, and made multiple copies of each design that I found that I thought would be really good for staying in the air really long. I then would go outside in our front yard and throw the airplane straight up and with a little toy pocket watch time how long it would take for each airplane to come back to the ground. Naturally, I timed each one multiple times, had different trials, and was trying to figure out like averages and stuff. One of the airplanes, there were two that stood out, but the first one of those two, every once in a while, like one every 10 throws, would catch the breeze and stay in the air significantly longer than anything else that I tested. It was terribly inconsistent, but the best runs definitely toppled over anything and everything else. It had to do with the way that the breeze was catching the plane. It would carry it way down the street. I remember just smiling ear to ear running after those things with the stopwatch. The problem was is it was inconsistent and it would crash very quickly if it didn't catch the right breeze. To the contrary, the second plane that I tested that worked well, it was very consistent. It would do well and it didn't have very much of a difference between its best and its worst. I knew I could rely on it, and it knocked the socks off of all the other paper airplanes. I had to decide in competing with my siblings, would I choose the one that was a 1 in 10 shot of definitely winning, or one that was very consistent and very likely of winning? At the very least, it was going to be second place. Which of these airplanes would you choose in this situation? Would you choose the one which had the greatest possible time, but was relatively risky and more than likely going to fail during a competition? Or would you choose the airplane that was consistent, the one that would work every time and would be very likely to do well? Maybe not win first, but you knew what you're going to get yourself into. You knew you weren't going to end up last.